Khamzat Chimaev. Guys, let's rethink this. I mean, let's really rethink this, because I've stood back, right? And I listen to what you guys say. I've listened to your opinions. I've listened to the other pundits. I've listened to the Ariel Helwanis of the world. A lot of people are agreeing with me that Chimaev should now be a middleweight. Chimaev has sent out a tweet that said 185, which we assume to be pounds, and we'd assume to be a declaration, or he's toying and trolling us. I mean, right? There's no real in-between. So what do? We're not looking to be toyed with and trolled. We're looking to help Chimaev. And Chimaev has really been carried by the media. I don't know that I've seen a media sensation to this extent since Ronda Rousey, where the media just got in. I mean, he just couldn't go wrong. People are still talking about Chimaev. Chimaev wasn't even the main event of his last fight. In fact, he caused a problem that canceled the press conference. In fact, he missed weight. In fact, we were told it was going to be a number one contendership, of which it is not. He's still the belle of the ball. There is no one from that card being discussed to this extent. Kevin Holland attempted a stunt of retiring, and it was a splash in the ocean compared to the headlines and the conversation that you're still getting on Chimaev. Now, I think Chimaev's a middleweight. I think he's a middleweight because he missed welterweight. That's what I think. Old school rules. I'm an old wrestling guy. I come from weight classes since I was 9 years old. That's the way it works. The guy misses a weight. He's no longer that weight. He's up. And it's obvious. And it's in front of everybody. And if the coach doesn't take charge and do that, he's giving him a disservice. That's how we would look at it in the world of wrestling. I'm just bringing this over here. Now, this is a grown man. He can go do what he wants. But he's saying 185. He's got a very clear opponent with Paulo Costa. Like, it just seems to make sense to me. I can live with it either way. Wants to go get on a diet and torture himself before he even gets into the right. Okay. I think it's a tough spot for a prideful man. Nobody has ever cut weight, guys. And I do mean nobody ever has cut weight for competition. They have cut weight to avoid competition. I don't believe that's the case with Chimaev. I don't think Chimaev's got any fear of the 185-pounders. I truly don't. I think somebody else made that decision for him. He was bouncing back in 70 and 85, and somebody said, you're a 70. That's how I think that this went. But I will share with you, if he was to go to 185 and he's to fight Paulo Costa, can we all agree that if he beat Paulo Costa, he's now fighting for the championship of the world? Can we agree on that? Because if we agree on that, that's awfully fast, isn't it? I mean, the guy's beat 4 guys at 170. He didn't get a fight for a world championship. The guy was scheduled for a number one contenders match against Leon almost 2 years ago. Has been unblemished since then, hasn't fought for a championship. The guy was scheduled in a match that we were told was for the number one contendership, and without being told, we all knew that that rug was pulled out as soon as Kamaru Usman fell down. I mean, he's beat a lot of guys and has a beautiful ranking at 170 and didn't get a title. Why does he get it at 85? And I agree that he does. I'm asking why. And I'm asking why because I don't mind the precedence. I think if you beat Paulo Costa any way you want to do it, you deserve to fight for a championship. I just think that's where it's at right now. But I'll look at Colby Covington, who can't even get discussed at 185 pounds. The clearest number one contender that our sport has, any division, the clearest number one contender, the clearest next best thing, Colby. He can't even get discussed at 185. So I'm asking, I'm not trying to be a jerk about this. I'm trying to look at the pieces that I have and rethink this out loud in front of you guys. If Colby wants to be one win away from fighting for a belt at 185, does all he have to do is sign to fight at 170 and show up 8 pounds overweight? I mean, is that the big problem? Colby's not big enough to fight at 185? Is that the big belief? Okay, how should he show you that he is? Because all Jon Jones did is go to a scale and take a picture and put it out on Instagram. And we accepted it. Can Colby not just go take a picture and show you he's big enough to go 185? Does he need to sign a contract, break the contract, hurt a card to show you he's big enough? Now, that's a ridiculous question by me. It's ridiculous. I'm being silly. But I'm still bringing it forward. Why would he be one win away at middleweight when other guys can't get that same deal? That's all I'm asking. And it's a tough spot. Here's the word that Dana used. Dana used the word challenge. They asked him about Chimaev going right into a title fight. And Dana just said a title fight next to challenge. And that's all he said. He was talking about in the vein of missing weight. A title fight next is a challenge for a guy who just missed weight. And I see it that way too. I see it the same way. I think it's hard because now you're talking about a precedence, which is where the ridiculous issue that I just get, should Colby show up and should Colby miss weight and should I know that he shouldn't do that. Come on. He's professional, but I'm trying to ask the question. What example are we setting? What are we giving forward? I do think that those things are important. Charles Oliveira missed weight. There was very stiff punishment. I mean, right? It was different. It was a world title fight, but it was a very stiff punishment in comparison to other guys that missed weight. And then people didn't even want that to be the case. I want to say that he's still the champion, which is factually not true. He's an opportunity to become a two-time champion. He has that opportunity because he's not the current champion. I mean, I'm just bringing it to you that if we tell the story the way that it happened, it really is important. And it is really important that we learn from these things. Right? I mean, it's really important that you understand that we took Charles's belt away. Now, that's tough. That's a full conversation. I led that charge, so I don't want to hear it from you guys. I led the charge. When you guys all quit talking about it, I kept talking about with what authority. I kept talking about the way he could have fought that and the way that he could have protested. I mean, I would think that nobody has defended Charles more, but at the end of the day, you shake hands and you settle your dispute here. You got a court of law, whether you like it or not. When it comes, that's it. But it's very relevant. Otherwise, why would other guys make weight? Why would other champions that were more comfortable half a pound over not just show up a half a pound over, right? It's important that these things are set. I like the idea of Chimaev versus Costa. I like the idea of Chimaev at 185 pounds. There was something about Chimaev announcing to the world through Twitter with no information, just a 1, an 8, and a 5. There was something about that felt like we were being trolled. You're moving to under 185 pounds. Add a couple of characters. I'm moving to 185 pounds. But none of those things were said. It was just a 1, an 8, and a 5. It looked like, right, it looked like somebody's a little bit thirsty. Somebody needed some attention. Somebody's at home and bored and wants to see what kind of retweets he could do. I mean, I've sent those. I recognize it. I've done that. We've all done that has social media. We've all needed a little attention here and there. But there was something about it with the limited information that we were given. Not mention, hey, Izzy and Pierre, I'm keeping my eye on you. Give me something to do in between them, right? I mean, these are the ways that Chimaev would normally talk. It felt as though we were being trolled. As a matter of fact, to the extent that when Chimaev put out 185, even though that made sense, and even though that's what I'm arguing he should do, just to have a happier life. Just to have a happier life, having more calories, all that training you're doing, you can go home and you can have a little energy, you can sleep better, right? These are things that I'm trying to get you to understand, but it's very hard. When every bite you put in your mouth, all day, your calories in and calories out, you're thinking about beating the scale. It's just very hard. I'm just suggesting that Chimaev would be happier and he would move up here, but the fact that he said none of those things, he just said 185, was not his strongest clue that he was going to middleweight. Like, if I had to make a bet right then based on that tweet told me he's going to 170. It was a troll tweet, but I don't have any proof of that, guys. I don't have any evidence. This is a guy who's learning the language and he's doing a great job. Maybe he was just in a hurry and he wouldn't have to transfer it over to Google Translate. You know what? I started this piece by telling you guys I wanted to rethink Khamzat Chimaev. That's how I started this. I'm probably even going to title it that. But here I am 9 minutes later, and it's very clear to me. I've overthought this, haven't I?